But ladies and gentlemen, are we Christians? Doesn't that mean our absolute priority is Christ? Absolute? Or we get pulled away by a lawsuit, by this stuff and this stuff that happens. But isn't the focus Christ? If it is, then we cannot do anything or vote anything that takes anything away from that. Then we have to go for that which keeps us in that direction. And you know, the strength that I had leaving 14, now I move away from that. Okay, now it can be mad or it can be okay. Maybe it got it, maybe it didn't. But I got rid of it. I'm so glad I had the chance to at least say it a little bit. Let's do the right thing. Let us not fail. Let us take over. We are leaders. We are leaders of many people. Why don't we lead and take this to another direction? I grew up in a small village in Germany. And I was 14 when I left. I told you that. Just before that, I was confirmed in a Lutheran church. And in the Lutheran church, you go for a heavy Bible class 2 years before you get confirmed. Very rigorous. And as the pastor that gets to know you in that class very clearly and has for years gone to kindergarten school, we called it. And of course, in school, we prayed, and we had a religion was in our certificate, religion. Wow. And he gives us the word for our lives. And my word was, he will take you under his wings. I'm translating right now, so forgive me. And he will take you under his wings, and your confidence will be under his pinions. The truth of him will be your shield and armor. That was my equipment. That's what I had, besides 2 suitcases of clothes when I left home. I was told by my parents, who found the best hotel in the region about 100 miles away, I was told, now, this is a hotel where we could never go. This is only for important people. This is only, now, behave yourself accordingly. And my mother took me there. My father, of course, was working. My mother took me there. And when we arrived, the general manager talked to us and told us, this is only for very important guests. They're very important. Don't get envious. We are here to serve, learn to take care of them. They are very important. I knew when I was standing the next day with my little white coat and bow tie in the dining room, with knees shaking, that the people around me were very important. I learned at that time, the first thing we learned is how to clean an ashtray. What the heck did I learn today? I wonder. There are no more ashtrays. So that was the first thing I learned. And I went on learning and from a maitre d' that profoundly impacted me. Wednesdays, I went to hotel school. And after 1.5 years, I was still 15, we were asked as a class to write an essay, what we now believe we feel about our work, our industry. There were ups and downs in this 1.5 years, but I was equipped. I was equipped with Psalm 91, verse 4. He will take you on his wings. That was with me. That gave me strength, that gave me survival. Even though I didn't go to church anymore, I was not at home, I didn't have to, nobody told me to go and so on. I was there. That's just a side comment. And I went home from hotel school where I was told to write that essay. I don't mean to confuse you, jumping back and forth. And that evening, of course, I thought what I'm going to write. 3 pages, what I now feel about the business. When I was working over there in the corner, cleaning a table, with my back to the door, and I could feel the maitre d' had just walked into the room. When he entered the room, you knew it. His presence could be felt throughout the room. He would have never entered the room without looking absolutely perfect. He would have never been late or anything like that. He was perfect. At that time, tails and a shirt that was about 3 inches thick and never moved, and so on. You could have shaved in his shoes. He was perfect. And I looked over, and he just went over to a table that happened to be a group of English people. He spoke English, spoke French, or spoke German, explained wine, explained food, helped to finish the dishes, and so on. And I realized, when he went to a table, the guests were proud that he came to that table. And it hit me. In the eyes of the guest and in the eyes of us, the employees, he was the most important person in the room. Wait a minute, there's a reversal here. The guests are supposed to be the most important. Why he? And I decided to write about him in my essay. Because it was clear, generally to me, that he never came to work to work. He came to work to create excellence in his profession. He came to work to create excellence. He was excellence. He manifested excellence. And I wrote an essay which I entitled, "We Are Ladies and Gentlemen, Serving Ladies and Gentlemen." And I explained, if we are excellent and create excellence in what we are doing, no matter what our profession, we will be respected, we'll define ourselves as excellent. And if we don't, then we are servants. So I took that with me. After 3 years, I went to work in a season in southern Germany, winter season. From there, I went to Switzerland, worked there for a while, and a season. I worked on the Holland America line on the ship. Went to France, worked 2 years in Paris. Went to England, worked a year there. And somebody said, "Do you want to work in the United States?" I said, "Well, why the heck not? If they would have said India, I would have said the same thing." Americans always want to know, when they said, "Why did you come to the United States?" They want me to say, "Oh, I was looking for a free country." That's not why I came here. I don't want to disappoint you. I came here because the guy offered me a job and said, "What the heck not?" So I came here, worked on the ship, the same ship I worked in, to New York, took the Greyhound bus, went to Houston, stayed in the YMCA, and worked in the Hotel Corporation of America as a waiter. And there, this major shock happened. Something terrible happened the first day there. I had to serve fish without a fish fork. It was just terrible. How can you serve? They must be all barbarians here. They serve fish without a fish fork. And how people sleep here? It was July. I came over in July and end of June. And I was staying in the YMCA there, but it was not air conditioned. I didn't know other people had air conditioned. I was staying in the YMCA. How can they must be all barbarians. They sleep in the heat and they don't use a fish fork. I'm going to go back. That's how crazy we think sometimes. I called a friend of mine and said, "I can't stand it. I'm going to go back." He said, he was in San Francisco. He said, "Come to San Francisco. We need a waiter in a French restaurant. We have fish forks." I took a bus to San Francisco. Worked as a waiter, and then a year, and then so I stay another year and a little longer. All of a sudden I said, "Well, I better follow career." And then went on with the career. And I was all of a sudden conscious. All of a sudden I had to take an assistant manager's job in a club, and I made less than I did in one evening in my French restaurant as a waiter. But I did it. Went from there to a similar club, University Club, to Chicago as food and beverage manager. Went to Hyatt, went to Hilton, became general manager, regional vice president, corporate vice president, and then I got a call. Somebody said, "We are starting a new hotel company. We need somebody to run the operation in Atlanta." I said, "Not interested. Not interested. Not at all. I have my golden handcuffs. I'm a young star in Hyatt and in charge of 65 hotels in the United States, operations, food and beverage. Why would I leave?" They kept on calling. And always then Sherry, my wife, nearly 38 years, and I'm still in love. I don't only love her, I'm still in love. I'm in love. Being in love is nothing else but believing. is a decision. You don't wait for a feeling. It's a decision. I made a decision to be in love and not just love her. As I made a decision to believe in God and follow God and Jesus and seek Him, it's a decision. But then we prayed. We had made a decision that we believe already. We prayed very heavy because they kept on calling for this job, where I said several times no. And something happened in my job that I questioned, and we moved here. And this hotel, 2 hotels in construction, one in Buckhead and one downtown, strategically, unbelievably intelligent. You start a new hotel company and do 2 hotels in the same city. That's very smart. But anyway, so here I came over to take over the operation of this company. I was promised we can go high end. That was the commitment. I can operationally do what I want. And come here, and as I said, we prayed heavy. It was disastrous the first 2 years, I can tell you. Well, it was nearly disastrous for the next 18 years, but there was a lot of success too. But the first 2 years, man, was it a problem. So I went home to Sherry one day, but I didn't tell Sherry, my wife, because she had just had a baby. We couldn't sell our house in Chicago. We had a lot of debt. It was so many problems. So I didn't want to burden her that this was not working out. But then I felt I just have to, because she will be faced with the fact sooner or later. So I said, let's sit down on the terrace and I want to tell you something. I said, sweetheart, I have to tell you, I'm sorry, but we made a mistake moving here. And she looked at me and said, why would you argue with God? We prayed on it. Maybe the job doesn't work out, but we didn't make a mistake moving here. So why would you argue with God? I said, never again in front of you. So there we were. And then she created a prayer together with another lady in the company. I can tell you she prayed that prayer every day with that other lady. And I can tell you, when I decided to leave, it's called under urgent of Sherry, because at that time I was traveling about 250 days a year. And I read that prayer to our staff. I called the staff together and told them I'm leaving. I read the prayer that she was praying. I can tell you, they all believed that I wrote that prayer a couple of weeks ago, because it stated and it prayed for what we were in the meantime, a respected worldwide company, and by the way, the #1 brand in the world. I didn't say that. That was determined by the Luxury Institute. That was Ritz-Carlton. So what happened in this Ritz-Carlton time? So, well, like when you start a new business, what do? You look at what industry you want to start a new business in. You look at what market segment. And what we did very carefully is looking, what does that market segment want? And I can tell you, in our business, that's probably the first time somebody did it. Carefully, pretty scientifically. What do the customer in this market segment want from us? It was clear. We want to speak to the top market segment. It was clear. I hired people that had the same dream. We came for a vision, for a dream. It wasn't a plan, it was a dream to become the absolute leader in the top market segment in the hotel business. So I have to say, if I can give this market segment what it wants in my product, more sufficient to them than the competition can, and if at the same time I'm more efficient than the competition, then I have a great company. So I have to understand first, what do they want? That's the first thing I have to do if I run a company. I have to not think what is right for them. I was tempted always to say, I know what I want. In fact, I know better than they do. After all, I have a European accent. I know the hotel better than they. But I wasn't. I refrained from it. And I looked what the market segment wants. And then I looked, how can we make it efficient? Then we looked at the processes that it takes to deliver what that market segment wants. Very simple. We looked what processes that it take to deliver what they want. How can I do it all the time? And hopefully defect-free. Now, what did they want? And this is key element Ladies and gentlemen, hey, leaders of businesses, do we know what the market wants? No, not what you want. What the market, your market wants. Do we really know that? That's the number one key question we have to ask ourselves, because we always try to put ourselves in there. You are an opinion of one. It's not a survey, what you have. It's what does the market want, and then deliver to that market what the market wants. And then be an example in it. And as you lead toward doing that, building that company and have people, you of course make sure you have people that are willing to deliver what that market wants. Your employees. I mean, we have to ask ourselves a short question here. Who will do a better job? The employee who is controlled and has to do the job, or the employee who wants to do what you're doing? Well, I guess the answer is pretty simple. The employee who wants to do the job is a better employee than the one that has to do the job. Now, what do they want? What do they want? Let's stick that up for a moment. I know what your customers want. Do you? I know what your customers want. In fact, every one of your customers, I know what they want. Because there are three fundamental things that every customer wants, no matter what they buy. If it's legal service or a house or a bottle of water, whatever the heck they're buying, you, my market, you have three expectations if you buy anything. I have to understand that. Once I understand that, now of course, in addition to those three fundamental things that everybody wants, there are idiosyncrasies unique to everybody. Now, so I have to create my processes first around those three things. And then I have to, of course, build processes so it can react to the other things. So what are those three things? Let's say you want to buy a bottle of water. It's very simple. It's so simple. And that's why it's nearly dismissed. Even if I give this speech, you dismiss it, you forget it, because it's too simple. Yet it is so big. Why don't we get this? What do they want? What do you want when you buy a bottle of water? You want the product to be defect-free. You don't want to leak. That's a subconscious expectation you have. You want the product to work, to be right, the car to run, the bicycle to run, or whatever. That's an expectation that you have. So you have to work on your product, of course. And you have to create processes to be sure that your product is defect-free in the expectation of the customer. Number two, what they want is timeliness. When you want is timely. You don't want to wait for that bottle of water. You want it when you want it. Incidentally, if you don't understand that today is a major issue, timeliness, you're missing something. I can tell you, when we opened our first Ritz-Carlton in Buckhead in January 1984, we knew that during rush hour in the evening, when people come and check in all together, it was a big hotel, that if they didn't wait longer than 4 minutes, they were okay. So we timed it. After 3 minutes, in fact, we went out with a soft drink and so on in the line that I waited. We know today it's 20 seconds. That's a fact. So this is a new customer. Do we understand the new customer? There are new customers out there. There's a new dialogue going on. There's new. The father of the customers from the day were fine. The father arrived in a suit and a tie. I'm obviously the speaker tonight because I have a tie on. The father arrived. I'm the father, okay. And the son shows up in blue jeans with holes in it and says, look here, I'm a dude like you. But you know what? They have much higher demands than the father ever had. Do it my way is the expectation. Do it my way. My money is valuable. It's the father. The father had a distance. The son says, come on, I'm just like you. Look here, I'm going to relax. So you have to be a little more relaxed. But 20 seconds. So number one, what they want is no defect. Number two, timeliness. And number three, what they want, what you want when you buy a bottle of water, you want that no defect, you want it in time, and you want the people that give it to you to be nice to you. Big deal. Yes. And guess what? And you won't accept it. I learn it all the time. I do some consulting on some boards. I learn it all the time. You're not accepting it. You think your idea of creating, no, being nice is what the customer wants. And guess what? The greatest driver of customer satisfaction is being nice. It's being nice. It's the greatest driver of customer satisfaction. Yet, and everybody knows it, yet nobody has a process to create being nice. If that is so important to our customers, and I'm saying, well, I'm B2B. That is such a baloney. I mean, B2B, wait a minute, business to business, that means, for some of you. That still means a human being in your company talks to the human being in another company in this moment, and in the other company's opinion about your company depends on that one human being you're talking to. Shall I repeat that, or did you get it? That's it. That's not business to business. It's human being to human being. And if you're not nice to that human being in the other company, business to business, you are going to have the wrong opinion pretty soon in that company. So those are the three things the customer wants. And then they have other idiosyncrasies which you have to learn, have processes to respond to. We teach, for instance, this process. It's all process-driven. We teach within 12 feet. Silly things we write down. It's written 12 feet, in parentheses 3 meters. 12 feet is actually 4 meters. But anyway, that's written about, and it just doesn't mean anything, I just tell you. So we write within 12 feet, no matter what you're doing, you look up and you greet the customer and respond to the customer. What they want depends on, do they want to be formal? Do they want to be informal? Within 12 feet, guess what? The customer that actually comes to your store, to your place, to your business, or that calls you, makes a decision about you. By the way, I'm giving you all facts. Those are all facts. If you don't agree with me, it means that you're wrong. Yes. Yes. They make a decision about you and your company the first instant when they presume that they made contact with you. Then they make a subconscious decision about you. This may be on the telephone, this may be in person or whatever. That's why we teach within 12 feet, because we know that's when the decision is being made. You look at them and say, welcome. We teach our people, there are 3 words you should never say. Don't say hi, because they're not your friends, they're ladies and gentlemen. And you are a lady and gentleman. You say, welcome, good morning, good afternoon. Make them feel important in order to move them to loyalty. If you are a great company, the number one thing you're going to do is create customer loyalty. Is creating customer loyalty. There are 3 types of customers. There are dissatisfied customers. They are terrorists against your company. They like to talk bad about you in a cocktail party or wherever. And then there are dissatisfied customers. They are not yours. They deal with somebody else if they have a better deal over here. And then there are the loyal customers that deal with you no matter what. Why? What is loyalty? Loyalty is nothing else but developed trust in you, in your company, and your product. That's loyalty. It's not something strange. They trust you. Here's the good thing. All relationships starts with distrust. So when you have them, to start new loyalty doesn't happen very easily, because they're loyal to you and they don't trust the others. It's not conscious, it's also subconscious. So you made contact with them. So in a great company, number one, it's loyalty you work on.